And we have started. Rook?
Last week, our magnificent bastards took on a haunted house and lost? After they welcomed back Nathan from tending to his daughter, who was severely injured by a strigoi bite, Nora and Rick found references to an Edo period ghost story that appeared to be taking place a couple hours outside of London. The house was said to have made some children disappear as recently as 3 weeks ago, so the team went to investigate. It was a trap. Trying to leave the house resulted in teleporting to another doorway inside the house. Only Nathan was able to step outside. The house filled with a poisonous mist and inflicted a temporary blindness on everyone inside. Trying to escape the poison, Cecil climbs up into the rafters, but the house somehow strikes him down. His injuries are severe. The house laughs at the cell in a chorus of voices as the team flees, with Rick carrying Cecil out and then life-flighting Cecil to the hospital in his private helicopter. One of his 3 or however many helicopters he has. Rick's goal is accomplished. In London, Rick's goal is accomplished. Cecil is seen by the medical staff, and his life is saved. But Nathan and Rick are arrested for illegally landing on a hospital helipad, and the helicopter's impounded. Meanwhile, Nora and Vanessa have a girls' night out and go stay in a nice hotel. They had an adversarial run-in with the MI5 agent that previously shot Vanessa, and he tries to drive a wedge between them by playing on Vanessa's amnesia and claiming she abandoned a previous cell that she was a part of and they were all wiped out. Talking to some teens who intend to go do a ritual inside that haunted house, the ritual from the ghost story that is said to activate the place, Nora tries to warn them away from doing it, but also gets some leads on the child who survived the incident from 3 weeks previous. Rick's lawyer shows up to get him and Nathan released from jail, and Rick goes directly to visit Cecil in the hospital and puts the wheels in motion to move Cecil into a better hospital in London, a completely different but still somewhat familiar kind of Rick role.
And with that, we're gonna actually go straight to Victor here. Victor.
Who you got on the phone, Victor?
A certain someone. Yeah, I believe we had left off with Victor getting a message on his phone, if I recall correctly.
Absolutely.
And I figure it's about time we get around to answering that particular message. Once everyone else has gone about to do their thing, and boy, did things happen. Yeah. In the meantime, Victor's going to handle some personal affairs, shall we say, and pay a visit to Mr. Quinn, I believe.
Mr. Quinn. Quinn gives you the address for the same cafe that he took Cecil to. Not necessarily giving you his home address as you would normally expect. You've been to his house a couple of different times. But it is a decent day. You haven't heard anything from the team. They seem to have been pulled away. Currently, the line is dead, so, not that big of an issue. You guys have lives outside of each other on occasion. It's not long until you see Quinn sitting out on the patio. He gestures over to you to, join him.
And Victor most certainly does.
So, Quinn kind of purses his lips as he thinks. I think I met one of your compadres. And he says the word compadres, but it's with a pretty thick British accent, so it doesn't quite come out the way that you would expect the word to.
I see. Um, I hope the interaction was pleasant.
Well, I've certainly had more pleasant discussions. You don't feel like we saw eye to eye on certain matters.
That is rather unfortunate.
Agreed. It seems like he might be interested in ousting me.
I had considered the possibility that some others amongst the Abbey may have taken notice of you as well. I've done my part, so to speak, but I'll. Can you give me a description of this individual? Maybe I might recognize him.
Oh, of your compadre? Well, he definitely had an air of money, but definitely did not necessarily enjoy the burden that it requires, or at least that your organization requires. Probably, I'd want to say old money, but when you're wearing baggy hoodies and pants, you know, more suited for streetwear than any sort of redeemable party. One cannot tell. Old and new money tends to blend a little bit with the trends.
Fair enough. But I think I may know the party that's taken an interest in you. And, I do have some considerable sway within the Abbey. I may be able to resolve this issue for you. Hopefully. But I'm afraid my hands are, well, a bit tied at the moment. But
is there anything I could do to loosen those binds? You know
yes.
me well enough, Victor. I've kept my nose clean, as it were.
Indeed you have. Very commendable effort on your part, must I say. Suffice to say, I find my situation a bit of quite similar to yours, actually. I also have someone who happens to be sniffing around in my personal affairs. It is regrettable. And you know how much I value privacy, especially in this day and age.
Of course.
And I was hoping perhaps you might help me convince this gentleman of the error of his ways, set him straight, so to speak. A strong, commanding influence.
He takes a sip from his tea. So. Now, let me not beat around the bush here. Does this have to do with the increased law enforcement presence? I almost want to say military.
Indubitably. It does indeed have a part to play in that regard.
Who's this individual?
You might say he is a part of a rather secretive machine, shall we say, within certain areas of the intelligence agency. One of those off the books sort of affairs. And I was hoping, actually, and Victor kind of digs around and produces whatever dossier that Rick had shared on this individual. The name is escaping me at the moment.
Oliver Cullen?
Yes, Oliver. Our agent.
So he's a lieutenant. Now, I do have follow-up questions. You know I am not one to... Well, let's just say shakedowns and beatdowns are not my thing. How exactly would you want my assistance here?
Oh, I was hoping for nothing quite so crude. No, something more akin to your speciality, shall we say? You certainly have an interesting way with people, shall we say? A strong guiding hand over certain individuals.
He takes a sip of his tea and he goes, "Your friend would say too strong of a hand."
He's a bit of an idealist, you might say. His heart is in the right place, even if his manners aren't.
Now, if I were to do this, I can only be in one place at any given time. Were I to do this, and he kind of makes a small gesture at the body, Maniac would be out on the loose again. With a vendetta.
So your, shall we say, vessel, would retain some recollection of events that have transpired. Is that what you were suggesting?
He shifts in his seat somewhat uncomfortably as the meat puppet in front of you kind of gets a curious look on his face. I can't say that this is something I've ever done before. I know he's there. I feel him occasionally push at the edges of my mind, his mind, however you want to phrase it. So, he is aware to a certain extent. I would say... Have you ever been asleep, yet you know something around you happened when you wake up?
I've heard of a certain similar sense of comatose individuals recalling sounds, experiences, vaguely, in that deep sleep of theirs. I can assume it's only something similar.
Yes.
Well, it would be unfortunate to relinquish that guiding hand of yours. I can't speak for you, obviously, and what it is you wish to do and experience. If this life that you have has begun to grow a little dull around the edges, I suppose. Maybe you're seeking a new perspective, something different, something more interesting. I think I've provided you with a very interesting shoes to fill, so to speak. But again, I can't speak for you.
Do not mistake my concern here for disinterest in the offer. The sheer fact that you're willing to get people that might cause me some, what I would consider undue harm. They might not see it that way, but that is their judgment. You're offering me a chance to escape. I would be a fool to turn my nose up at it. This, he looks at the dossier. Oliver. Is there anything I need to know? And this question is very pointed as he kind of glides over, his eyes glide over the file. For them to be giving you such trouble, I can't expect them to be just the standard government employee now, can I?
Oh, no. We haven't even got to the, shall we say, interesting. They too appear to have what you might consider paranormal abilities. A layman might call them a psychic, perhaps. It may be again, I can't speak to your ability. It may be more of a challenge for you. But I will render whatever assistance I can in making this transition as smooth as possible. But now that I think of it, I think this, well, kills two birds with one stone. Not only are you resolving my problem, and I am resolving your problem, this position offers you a certain degree of protection, shall we say, of all the individuals you might commingle with. A lieutenant in a government intelligence agency is going to offer you a certain degree of separation and the lovely insulation that government bureaucracy supplies.
He sighs. The last thing. This is not something I can do at long distances. I need to be in the same room as him.
I figured as such. Don't worry yourself with the details of that. I will go about arranging a little heart-to-heart. When the time comes, I'll let you know.
He nods and he kind of points at your cup. You haven't even touched your tea. That's kind of unlike you.
There's a number of things that are concerning me at the moment. It's not done any favors for my appetite, I'm afraid.
And with that, we will go ahead and close the scene and go over to the Fabulous Five. Where we had last left them. Cecil was still in a hospital bed.
In London now, I hope.
Probably by this time. Well, we had just left.
True.
With Rick screaming at his lawyer to get him his chopper back. I feel like that's where we're gonna go to first, are Nathan and Rick. I don't think Vanessa and Nora had arrived yet. I remember them leaving the hotel.
I think we left off in the hospital. Like, we went to, like, leave the hotel, we got accosted by that agent, then we went to the police station, pick up the others, and then we went to the hospital and finished there for a call.
I have Vanessa hands Rick a helium balloon helicopter as the last thing I wrote down last session.
And
That was in the hospital.
Yep. So that is where we're gonna pick back up. With Rick being handed a helicopter balloon.
Rick just kind of holds it and looks at it. And it's like, thank you. Kind of smirks. And then
Glad
he
you like it.
picks up his phone and is like, excuse me, and steps out into the hall and dials like a partner at the law firm whose number he has, rather than whatever idiot was at the jail cell who isn't fully aware of how much they bill me per month.
An older voice picks up the line. Rick, I haven't heard your voice in a while.
I haven't needed to call you for a while.
Oh no. That's never a good way to start these phone calls.
Yeah. Look, you know more than most. We ran into something a bit above our heads. It took one of mine down. He had to get to a hospital fast, and my helicopter was the closest one. They're fussy about landing those things on the top of hospitals.
Well, there's pretty good reason for that.
Yeah, well, he'd have died if I'd have taken him to London. Look, the doctors have seen him. It wasn't a prank. It wasn't a luxury thing. I had an actual patient on board that they fully admitted, and he's probably here for a week or two. The weapons on board are licensed. The drugs are licensed in America for whatever that's worth, and they're part of obvious med kits. There's not a recreational amount of them, and it's a $210 million helicopter. It's not the kind of thing you play games with.
I assure you, whoever we have working your particular account is not playing games. Unfortunately, likely there is going to be some time before you're going to be able to get that back. They're going to have to check the license. They're going to have to check all of this stuff. 'Cause, I mean, I'm sure if you were in the position of the authorities and some person you don't know just lands on your building with all this stuff, you'd be like, I need to make sure this stuff is legal.
Of course, just get it expedited.
Your contributions to our firm are large, and we will make sure that it gets expedited as quickly as possible. I'm sorry if our particular person on the scene did not make that clear.
I'll send an extra check this month. Just get it handled.
Of course, Mr. Warren.
I'll see you at the club in a couple of months. We'll hopefully catch up on in a more pleasant conversation.
I will, of course, love a rousing game of golf.
Good day. And I hang up. And then I'm gonna text like one of my valets and have the most expensive bottle of whiskey that can be found in the city of London delivered to that partner by morning.
Nora, Vanessa?
Feel like I was snickering to Vanessa as immediately he went out to complain about the helicopter, and Vanessa handed him the balloon and just kind of like, you touched a nerve, Vanessa.
If you look outside, you see Rick holding the balloon with like the phone and doing like a 360 around it and stuff. It's kind of odd looking, but you see him kind of doing the thing with his phone.
He's really liking that balloon.
Since you guys would be in Cecil's room, I'm sure Cecil can see this little bit of childlike amusement coming from Rick.
Yeah, like now that we've been, I break away from being distracted by Rick's pain and suffering. Like, how you going, Cecil? Sucks about Rick's helicopter, doesn't it?
I've been better. It's my first time being hit by a house. Kind of felt like being hit by a truck, if I'm being honest.
Or maybe like a very large car.
That was wild. Like, the footage is insane.
From the hallway, you were fine. When Vanessa makes the getting hit by a car comment, you hear that from the hallway.
And Cecil looks very like serious, by the way. Like, I'm smiling because I'm having a good time with y'all, but Cecil is not having a good time. Cecil is like deadpan serious.
Very frowny face.
Nora, are you continuing to look at that footage, kind of like, every so often just looking down at it,
Yeah, I feel like I, airdropped it to my phone so I can just have it on me, then I don't have to have the laptop out. But I have it, and I'm very intrigued by it, so I feel like I'll be constantly checking it.
Every so often. It's not super often. You see the swirl of mist and what appear to be figures. And this is over the course of the day, obviously, after as you've checked in. Each time, the figure that flicks, and it's usually at the very most a frame, if not even a shorter amount of time. All the images you're getting are of two red eyes, a bald individual, but all their facial features are different. So they all have certain common characteristics, but you can tell whenever a face does show, it's a different thing, for lack of a better word.
If I notice that while I'm watching it on my phone, every time I see a face, I'll take a screenshot so that I have a catalog of these different faces.
As of now, since the morning, you would have roughly 20.
Cool.
As number 21 flicks, as you kind of check your phone at this very moment.
Have you guys called Victor about the house and Cecil yet?
We sent a message on the flight here to let him know that we were taking Sissel to the hospital. It was late night though. He may not see it till. He may not have seen it till this morning. It's a several-hour drive. So.
Speaking of that, Victor.
I assume at this point it's like breakfast time-ish because like we went to jail, got back out, back up here again.
Mm-hmm.
They did their thing.
Hooray! Hospital breakfast food.
I know that
yeah.
all too well.
Forgot to mention, we got a name on the kid that lived.
Oh
I
yeah,
actually forgot what it was.
Yeah.
Grog.
it's
Whenever we got
Christoph
a name.
McCullen.
Yeah, apparently he's checked in a psych ward in London.
Yep.
We'll have to visit him. He's probably telling people the truth, and that's why he's in a psych ward.
Mm-hmm.
As I was
Definitely.
getting ready to say, Victor, your morning meditation ritual is finished. Your first bit of technology in the morning, and you legitimately get to see a text message saying that Cecil got hit by a house and that he's going to the hospital, pretty much.
It's like checking out the house that ate the kids. Affirmative. House ate kids. House tried to eat Cecil. Let us go. En route to hospital. Cecil in hospital. En route to jail. 6-hour air gap. En route back to hospital.
I almost feel like there should be like, are you ignoring me right now? Like, you're never paying attention to me.
Where the hell are you? Who are you with?
Yeah, this is. I imagine this would be like the group text since we're all kind of separated, but it's just like these are Rick's like 5 or 6 quick updates in the last 12 hours.
And this is precisely why Victor waits until after the morning meditation to check the devices. We need a nice, pleasant morning. Need to center oneself before dealing with all of
The
them.
Americans.
Yes. Good heavens, the Americans.
I think they own the world.
Yeah. Now, how exactly far are they from London?
They are
like
very, let's just say very far. They are, very close to Worcester. They are actually in Worcester right now, which is
Yeah.
quite a distant
I think
drive.
we said it was like 170
drive.
miles. I think we said like 170 miles from Rick's penthouse to like the area we were to Worcester.
Yes, but he doesn't do miles.
Yeah.
Who
Kilometers.
in the UK uses miles? I don't know.
Yeah, that is.
It is pinned on the map already. It's just
Yeah.
it's slightly southwest of Birmingham.
It was like 275 kilometers.
Yeah, that's quite a trip, so to speak. I'm not sure how well that might go. Making that. I do have some other things to attend to here in London, but maybe it's best to
At least respond.
again. Yes, good heavens. Yes, Victor will respond. I think it's probably best that he check in with Rick, I suppose, and get the rundown on the situation. And I suppose Victor will give Rick a call.
Ring, ring, ring. Phone call. Phone call. Ring, ring, ring.
Paging Dr. Rick.
It's like a Rick Astley ringtone, but it's not that one. But he'll open it up. Hey, Victor.
Good morning. How are things going for you?
I had a frozen pancake for breakfast. Victor, how are things going for you?
Things are coming along well up here. Handling some affairs.
Any work on the binding?
Things are coming along, though not necessarily in the direction that we had hoped, per se. But things are still in the works. Plans are still in motion, but they are, shall we say, progressing in a favorable direction.
Victor, when you're going off script, the vagueness is less endearing.
Yes. My apologies. I don't per se want to share too much. I'm sure you've taken ample steps to secure this line of communication. Hence why I've decided to call you as opposed to any of the others. But one can't be too careful given our company, of course.
Yeah, still not sure exactly what they're doing to figure things out. I mean, we know what they did to Vanessa, but we don't know how far that translates. I think it may be factoring a bit into the spying, though, for sure. Not sure if typical means of encryption are suitable.
Indeed. I've been working on a little project of my own. But it's difficult to say if it will bear any fruit, shall we say. I've been looking into a different sort of, shall we say, abjuration and binding. Something to deal with our, shall we say, curious parties.
Do you have a hunting lodge on property? Maybe something off grid?
Yes, I suppose I could go off grid, so to speak. Why do you ask?
I'm trying to get Cecil moved to London. If we can get that pulled through today, the rest of us can be back into London maybe by tonight, and maybe the group of us can meet, leave our phones and other devices outside the room, just in case, and have a talk on private property with no risks in the room. Go into a bit of detail.
Fair enough. I will continue my approach, so to speak. It might likely take me some time to scale up my production, so to speak. But I'll see if I can't hopefully find us something to deter, shall we say, second sight.
Is there any reason for me to keep holding back on pulling the trigger with passing the Bears dossier?
I would appreciate the additional time. I do have
I got a few more days.
something in mind with our dear bear man. I'll see what I can do. I won't push you any further than the timeline that we've already established, of course.
Yeah, I'll let you know as soon as we're in London.
Sounds good. I'll get to work on an award of sorts. Oh.
You're like, as you finish talking that sentence, like the phone kind of lights up a little bit, and you realize Rick's hung up.
Yes. How impolite.
Americans.
Comes back in the room, says, Victor's aware, but he's still tied down in London. Hopefully we'll be there soon enough anyway, so he's gone off script with the binding research. We'll figure out more when we get back.
Binding. What are we binding?
You know, the flesh bag with the thing in it.
Config, dude.
I do believe Nathan has no idea of that particular
Oh
encounter.
yeah, sorry Nathan, you weren't around. We got a dossier passed to us from a friend of Victor's or something. No, Cecil tracked this guy down, and he was a friend of the Abbey or something. Anyway, he knew a guy, pod people stuff. There's a spirit or something inside of him, we think. We talked about making that a check off the list. If we could bind him to the bag he's walking around in. That we could.
A person.
deliver it.
It's a person.
From the description of the person of the one he's walking around in, person's a generous term.
Yeah,
But,
you are also some kind of bag.
Well, I have my days.
All right. So my understanding, there's a ghost in somebody walking around, and y'all just let him walk around.
Well, spirit of some kind. We don't know exactly what it is yet. Cecil got caught following him, believe it or not. So they had tea together, and then we talked about it some more afterwards. He kind of looks at Cecil in the bed, is like, ghosts aren't his thing apparently. So Victor was going to go back. That's why Victor's not with us. He went to the mansion to do some research on some sort of maybe conjurative or transformative magic that could potentially bind it into the vessel so that it couldn't escape, so that we could just deliver it without having to destroy it.
Also,
Although from our research, this soul in this body is an improvement on the previous original soul in this body in many ways.
Vastly
Which is why-
so.
as
Which
Nora
is why-
as Nora looks down at her phone as she gets ready to finish her sentence, that's number 25.
My God. I make this kind of face.
Yeah, you've been in
Screenshot.
your phone a lot more than normal, Nora. You good?
You won't believe that there's so many different spirits in the house. Trigger warning, sorry, Cecil. Kind of like I'm like covering Cecil's ears as I'm saying this. It's like there's 25 different spirits that I have seen in this house so far that I have caught on camera.
Rick picks out and just sets a flask down on Cecil's chest from inside a breast pocket.
25.
Cecil just hands it back because he's got narcotics in him.
Oh,
Yeah.
good stuff.
I'm sure.
This would be bad to mix too.
That's Vanessa. She knows how to do it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to mix those.
Mhm.
Vanessa's fine. She does it all the time.
Fine.
Vanessa has a ninja's poison immunity at this point.
I think she's hooked up to your IV.
Sorry.
Why he's hurting again?
Actually, that would be amazing.
Every so often, you just see
walking
Vanessa disconnecting the IV and just sucking on it and then reconnecting it.
Rick will spend. I don't know if we spend a lot of the day here. Rick's going to see what he can do to. Basically, he's gonna spend a lot of time following up on and politely harassing people to get Cecil's move done as quickly as possible back to London, where we can get a higher qualified level of specialist involved.
Well, don't worry, that was actually already on their list of stuff to do, so from your polite nagging, it's probably going to be done around 2 p.m. is when they're going to pick him up and then, transport him via air.
Yeah, we're going to have to move my helicopter first.
Got a poop on it.
Your helicopter would have already been moved.
Yeah, I assume like a police officer would like ride passenger or while my driver like took it to wherever they said or something.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's already taken care of. However, that does probably mean that you're going back in a car.
Road trip round 2.
I don't have a secondary pilot, so, and I'm gonna have to get my other helicopter like where it's like stored at the airport, like moved to the penthouse now.
All kinds of problems.
It's annoying at the very least. Plus, it's not nearly as nice a helicopter. It's just like I keep like one in London, one in Tokyo, like, but they're small. They're just to kind of like move up and down between the major cities without the traffic. Once I knew it was going to be in London for a while, I brought my helicopter over, and that's the one that they took.
I'm behind him like this, making faces at Vanessa. Like,
Yeah.
I see Vanessa's grin, and I'm just like.
And then as soon as you look back down at your phone, 28.
Does each one of these count as a beat?
No.
Cool photos of monsters.
There's a reason for that, so...
Damn.
Nora, are you gonna spiel on why you huff every 3 minutes staring at your phone?
I already told you. Same thing.
The spirit
Same
thing?
I'm like covering 600.
So what? It's got
fine.
a bunch of different faces.
Yeah, or something. And then I hand my phone, my photo, on a carousel to Nathan so he can see and like scroll through them, all the screenshots that I took.
Bro.
As you see the same thing, they all have similar features. They're all bald with what seem to be little red orbs, which you would assume maybe are eyes, especially where they are placed in what appears to be a misty face. But they are distinct faces outside of the bald head and red eyes.
So cool.
Do we know how many kids have gone missing?
We're gonna figure it out.
I wonder if the thing's stealing faces.
I wonder if the thing's trapping souls.
Or if it's, taking the kids, because there's no bodies, right?
Yeah, I'm
What if these are the
wondering if-
kids?
I think that I wasn't joking. I think the house ate the kids.
Wasn't there a Goosebumps episode about this?
Probably.
The last one, Goosebumps.
Oh man.
Can we get like a missing persons list somewhere?
Probably from the police station.
We can dig some more up.
If we can match faces, maybe that'll help. I don't know.
So the mirror in there was an antique, which didn't fit with the rest of the house. As the rest of the house was mostly still under construction. It was unfinished. It was modular and incomplete. But then this antique imported mirror, that's one that's a little more difficult to get your hands on than some paper Japanese lanterns. It's more difficult to move, and it's more likely to go missing from wherever it is. So I feel like it's important, but I don't know why.
You think the mirror is the catalyst, not the house?
Maybe, or maybe the mirror was part of the very first time the game was played, and the spirit was drawn out of the mirror.
Do we have
maybe
details on this game?
Nora knows some stuff because of the being a nerd, but look, you know what? I write computer programs for a living. Pot kettle. I
briefly explained because we didn't explain to Nathan, right, about the. Well, didn't we? Because we were in the house together.
I was there for that episode.
Yeah. No, Bean.
I just wonder if if the game is bullshit unless it's around the right kind of catalyst, and if maybe the mirror held the spirit and the game called it out, and maybe the reason there's so many faces is because this isn't the first place the mirror's been. We may not be looking at everyone who's ever been taken from this house. We may be looking at everyone who's ever been taken.
Period.
Also,
sure.
At this point, Nora, you see 5 faces you recognize.
Ooh, cool.
Not ghostly faces. The faces
of
teen.
The kids are in the house. Yay, Vanessa.
What?
Wait, is this a live feed?
Went to the house.
Oh.
Is this a live feed?
What?
Yeah, it's a live feed from the house.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Sorry, Cecil. I angle it away from Cecil.
you begin to see.
Why are you happy that the kids are there?
Because we can get more footage of how this house works and maybe figure out a way to break it. Sorry, Cecil. Cecil's let down.
As you guys
I think
begin
we told them the house is haunted, and they were like, "Cool." So,
yeah. As you begin,
it's their own fault if they'll die.
Yeah, we warned them. They signed a waiver. Okay.
As you watch this video, you see the kids go in and out as they carry about 2 to 4 lanterns each, having to go back and forth as they're very clearly trying to get the 100 needed lanterns. One of them has brought it's just a small desk mirror, probably bought at Walmart, if you had to guess. If you even knew what Walmart was.
How long do we have until nighttime?
It's about probably it's not 2 p.m. yet because that's when they're going to transfer Cecil, so there's quite a bit of time. It looks like they wanted to get an early setup.
I imagine that on my phone, I probably have a way to spoof my number on a call out. If not, I don't really care, but I've also got a burner phone. So actually, I'll just grab my burner phone and I'm going to call the local fire department near that area, and I'm going to step out in the hall. I'm going to call the local fire department and report a fire at that address.
All right.
So they do need a mirror for this game, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to confess into it or look at it or something.
Tell spooky stories. You're supposed to tell spooky stories, looking in the mirror, and then blow out a candle for every story. And then when you blow out the 100th candle, you will summon the spirits.
And I think that antique mirror was a problem.
So if they're not using the antique mirror, then there's no problem.
We didn't start the game.
We didn't play the game. It's too late for that.
The thing attacked us. We didn't play the game.
It's already there. The game is just it's cheese on a trap, Nora. That's all it is.
So The first kids found the game, played it in the house, summoned the thing, and now it's just there. Any other kids, doesn't matter if they play the game, it's already there.
Likely. We don't know for sure, which is why it would be nice to have another footage.
I think we can say with fair amount of confidence, you don't need to play the game to summon the spirit out and piss it off. Nora.
Cecil, how are you
I'm
doing?
just gonna point to Cecil.
Cecil is like the annoyance of the patronizing, like, oh, don't look at the ghost thing. Like it annoys him, but like he's horrified that kids are going to this house, and more than one member of his cell is like, yay, there's the kids are gonna get eaten by the house. So he's like, but he's also, drugged up on narcotics because he's got a whole bunch of lethal injuries on the inside of his body. So he's not saying anything, but like he's wide-eyed, and he's like, there's like a stunned expression on his face kind of as he watches and listens to everybody.
Yeah, and you hear like Rick just outside the hallway. Yeah, it was a bunch of kids. They had like Molotov cocktails. They were throwing a bunch of trash in. I was driving by on my way to go look at another to go visit a friend's house, and I saw like I don't know. But there were flames starting to lick up the side of the walls inside. I think one of the kids might have gotten trapped. You need to get out to this house. Yeah, the address is.
And so on and so forth.
Yep.
You're getting the kids in trouble saying that they have Molotov cocktails.
Kids. It means both the police and the fire department will show up.
You could just say they have fireworks, or
It doesn't matter because they're not going to have any of it anyway. I'm SWAT calling them. It's fine. And as I say that, I crack the phone in half, and then like take the battery out and take the SIM chip out and crack the SIM chip in half.
Ugh, you're so extra.
Take it all, like drop it in like a little plastic bag and tie it off. Find a trash can for this later.
I don't remember it being so paranoid.
Yeah, I don't remember psychic spying on me before, okay?
Wait, what?
Yeah, the psychics, the psychic police.
You went there?
Yeah. We sent a group text to each other, met in a one-off place a block over that nobody had ever been to before, impromptu, and it took them less than 5 minutes to show up, and they knew what we were talking about in the room when they got there.
Did we not tell you about the psychic police?
I was with my daughter at the time. You guys had a lot of fun without me.
Victor, I'm glad your daughter's better.
Surprised they haven't done anything to you yet.
One of them shot Vanessa in the back. Mostly because she gave his partner a headbutt to the extreme of facial reconstruction. Because he was like, hey, can you come with us and ask some questions? And she was like, can you go to the hospital and have your entire face rebuilt?
Well,
Instead,
she said
how
no.
about that counter proposal? And then she tried to, and then she charged the other one who then ran away and shot her in the back.
Listen, Rick, no is a whole sentence. They said, can you follow me? She said no. They tried to grab her. She headbutted them. It's fine. It's what you should do. When a strange man is trying to grab you in the street, you wouldn't understand.
At this moment, let's put a pin in this. Let's put a pin in this and check in with Victor.
See, I'm out of touch with reality.
Yeah. We had, I think, discussed it earlier, and I imagine Victor got around to messing with it before meeting with Quinn. But as mentioned, that research into abjuration and warding has become a bit off schedule, off script. And Victor has not been looking into anything regarding abjuring or warding against Mr. Quinn, and has been spending that time looking into pouring through the old family archives and what other sources he can, looking into charms, wards, trinkets, that sort of thing, minor little baubles that he might make to protect against such unwanted spiritual observation. Now, Victor, of course, is no magician by any means, but given how much of the occult is out there, some of these trinkets, one of them, likely has some sort of effect. And has probably been, given the previous conversation that after checking in with them, has either been trying to sort of mass produce a prototype or a little trinket for the rest, or perhaps alternatively warding a room within the Delacroix manor for our eventual reunion.
I will recommend the room solution because to me that is a bit more interesting. As such, I am going to need an intelligence plus occult roll, as these symbols are supposed to have meaning, etc. So
let's go ahead and do that.
as we sit here in an hour in with no rolls.
Yeah, time for some rolling.
Enough of this role playing. God.
Let's see here.
Role play, not role play.
Do we want to spend willpower? Yeah, screw it. Let's spend some willpower on that. Why not? There we go. Intelligence and oh, I almost forgot. I have mine again. Go. Aha! 2 successes.
To the best of your knowledge, this is sufficient. You did everything the Dusty Tome said. It should work. Obviously.
There's no way to tell.
Exactly. And that's not because of your successes or anything. There's just no way to tell.
Yes, best guess.
However, this preparation and ceremony takes hours. We're talking 5 to 6 hours. So at this point, we're looking at about 4 p.m. As soon as Cecil gets on the helicopter to be air transported at around 1:30ish, would you guys immediately take off?
Rick would probably try to talk his way onto the Airbus with Cecil.
I'm his emergency contact. I'm not going anywhere
Not out of like I'm gonna be on the helicopter, but like Rick's not gonna just leave Cecil alone for the trip. And Rick's like, look, I'm the one that brought him here. I'm the closest thing he's got to family that you're aware of. You're taking him to London, and we're not going to be 3 hours behind him. I'm coming on the bus.
Give me a roll. This is manipulation persuasion.
Yeah, manipulation and persuasion, and that's going to be a 9 again because it's asset, and we're going to get a modifier to that for specialty.
Is it?
It is one of my asset skills.
Persuasion.
Well, I'm at specialty.
Social
3
engineering.
Successes. Yeah, persuasion, social engineering is a specialization, and then persuasion is my asset, and then I have a 5 dice pool before that.
Nice.
Yeah.
It takes maybe 5 minutes, but eventually you do convince browbeat, however you want to put it. And they do allow you on the helicopter.
Yeah, Rick's not like he wouldn't be like angry or aggressive.
Yeah.
It would be more like firm and American.
And I'm gonna talk your ear off until I get my way.
And also it'll become like after the first couple of times they push back, it'll become clear that I can start dialing numbers until the president of the board of directors over the board that is over this and other hospitals will answer my phone call if I have to make this happen. Like how far up my Rolodex do you want me to start going? Like who do you want me to start bothering?
With that, I'm assuming Nathan, Nora, and Vanessa are taking Nathan's car back.
Taking my car, yes, of course.
Nathan, your car has been left in the care of these two individuals.
Are there more snack bags than before?
Yes, there's been like pieces of rubbish left on like the floor of the car. Even more crumbs everywhere. Maybe there's like some stains from like some drinks or whatever, like spilled over a bit. Yeah. Every dad's worst nightmare.
Surprisingly, not as bad as my daughter. Okay, I can still work with this. He's pushing the wrappers off the driver's seat.
Detail shop in 2 hours, baby. You'll be there in 2 hours.
Yes.
Hold on.
Get you back in the garage. It's okay. I won't let them drive you again.
And with that, Cecil. What?
No, I was just noticing this new thing on your Roll20.
Yeah, the picture.
Oh, that's been there for a while.
Yes, but it just moved center, so I feel like it might come into play.
Oh, it already has. With that being said, Cecil gets airdropped to the London hospital of your choice. When money's no object, whatever hotel you deem is correct. Even if you're bribing the helicopter driver on the way there.
Yeah, I mean it'll be whatever the nicest, most prestigious hospital is available, and I assume we've probably already started making phone calls for specialists.
Yep.
And no felony charge.
And with that, though,
We had an actual patient.
where is the car going? Is the car also heading to the hospital, or is the car heading to the Delacroix Manor?
Oh, that's a good question. Didn't really discuss it. Where do you want to go, girls?
You're
What have
muted,
you
Nora.
Yeah.
To the club!
It's Victor's place? Yeah, we haven't wrecked that place in a long while.
Oh, hell yeah.
I hope he's restocked the wine cellar.
Is he home? Yeah, we can go visit.
I like to imagine like Rick's so tired of Vanessa being in his penthouse that like when the helicopter lands, he's like, Cecil is admitted. We should meet at Victor's.
I'm
Right.
assuming, Victor, you have some sort of security system that would alert you to incoming individuals.
You might hear the engine.
You know, the old gated. I'm sure the whole community is gated. But yeah.
I was gonna say, do 20-foot high wrought iron walls count?
Yeah. But, yes, there's probably some sort of voice memo system and an automated gate leading into the driveway into the residence.
So, with that, you would see them pull up. Do you let
So I
Nathan?
gotta push a button.
Nathan, Nora, and Vanessa are obviously the first to arrive.
Yes. I suppose I'll give the butler the nod to permit them passage onto the ground.
I suppose.
You guys are admitted into the fabulous, luxurious home of the Delacroix.
Ooh. I don't think I've ever been to this place, actually. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'll just pull up to the front door.
Yeah, I imagine it's got like one of those like big driveways.
Circular drives.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it takes you a while to get to the house. Yeah, proper. I suppose.
You have to go through like the estate area. Like,
yeah, I'm picturing like a 3/4 mile driveway. Like a
birds in the pond.
Tennis court off to the side.
Gotta go through the apple orchard, you know.
And
You
get like through that.
The little fountain, in the middle. There's like all the little streams of water shooting out. And I imagine the butler is kind of sitting out front, awaiting you, and probably says something to the effect of, dinner will be ready shortly.
What's for dinner, Jeeves?
The butler informs you that he will permit Master Delacroix to provide you with that information. He wouldn't want to ruin the surprise.
Oh, good show. Can I leave my car here?
I do apologize. Oh, yes, of course, sir.
Onward, ladies.
All right, yeah.
Fancy.
After some cajoling, Vanessa is herded away from the wine cellar.
She can smell it.
No. However, they are eventually led to the room that you've been working on.
Indeed. And, of course, only the most appropriate room for conversation, the dining room. And Victor apologizes. He's kind of like putting, some last-minute stuff together as you guys arrive into the dining room, and does his best to put on appearances. And so good to have you. I trust your little adventure was engaging.
Oh yeah, it was fun. Nice drive, beautiful country, haunted house, the whole thing.
I think I'm tapped out on listening for 500 miles for another year or so after that road trip.
Yeah, they somehow broke the radio and it will only play that song.
Well, I can at least promise you a change of pace. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to make the meal myself. I had the chef prepare something for you. I hope the lot of you are okay with treat salmon au bleu with vegetables and broth, and of course a lovely hollandaise sauce on the side.
I know most of those words.
Dude.
Sure.
As everybody takes a moment to Google that first part,
How do you spell that? Not even gonna bother.
Where are my manners? It's a salmon with blue cheese.
Ooh.
A fish dish for you.
Cool.
Sounds great.
How's
what?
the work on the binding going?
Oh, yeah, they'd say you're trying to bind something. What are you doing?
Yes, I suppose you could say I've found something. And Victor will kind of gesture towards the room, and maybe some of the decorations are a bit out of place. There's maybe some sort of runes or other trinkets that have been somewhat conspicuously arranged around the dining room. And before you enter, Victor informs you that it would only be proper for dinner that we leave our electronics at the door. And he'll kind of gesture towards the butler, who has a lovely kind of silk pillow that he's holding out with his hands to accept your precious cellular devices.
Mine.
And a show of good faith, Victor will place his on the room as well, or the pillow as well.
Nathan will put his phone and his watch there, and his Bluetooth.
Just starts disconnecting all of it.
I'm still holding my phone. like this. Like, no, not my phone. Don't take it away from me.
Etiquette, Nora.
It's... I can assure you, it's both good manners and a precaution.
I hate this. And I say I hate this as I'm like reluctantly putting my phone away.
Oh, please, I'm sure we'll have some very entertaining conversation that can hopefully...
That's not what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of what will happen to those kids that are in my feed. I mean, not afraid, more like interested.
You just had like a 2-hour drive though. That's probably resolved or not by now.
Speaking of that's what I was just getting ready on.
Here we go.
It seems like by the time the cops had arrived, they had finished putting in the 100 lanterns. At least by your count as you watched it on the drive. During this time, you saw no additional faces. It was like the house was completely dead. Seems like the kids may have taken off, though, to wait for a later time. You do see the fire department come in, they're looking around. Obviously, they come in with...
an explosion? The signs of explosion in the wall, collapsed.
They do see that, but, they don't see any kids, they don't see any active fire, so... While they're around the area for probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, they do eventually leave.
Hooray, bad timing.
Somebody just called Wolf.
Not really. I mean, there was a giant hole in the wall, so they probably would think, hey, that one the
Might have
truth.
been a fire at some point.
And a wall put there by an explosive device.
That's
At
true.
least it's, the cause to, get an investigation for what was it? Larceny?
Rick, once Cecil's in the hospital in London, how long does it take you to show up at the Delacroix Manor?
I'd probably not be far behind them. I imagine the Airbus is a much shorter drive, but I'll make sure Cecil's in where he belongs and everything.
Paperwork and all that type of stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I'll get all that handled, and then I'll kind of keep an eye on the chat to see when they're getting close. But I'm gonna head back to my penthouse. I'm going to send a driver to Worcester to pick up my pilot and bring him back. He's in whatever the nicest hotel within 30 miles is. So I'll send somebody up there to get him and bring him back and take him to like the local airfield to get like the smaller smaller little four-seater. That's not like it's not like a it's like a $10 million helicopter, not like a $210 million helicopter. Like it's just like it's the one he keeps that's in the city. Honestly, it's probably not even that much. It's probably like 2 or 3, but it's not the lap of luxury that his primary kind of flagship helicopter is. But he'll send the driver to go get that and bring it back to the penthouse, and he'll head there and just kind of check through the room, check through, make sure everything's good, check his own camera feeds to see if anybody's been in their absence, that because he doesn't know what psychics are capable of. And then he'll rearm himself, and then head to the Delacroix residence, probably on his motorcycle.
All right, so if you don't arrive too far back, by the time you guys have reached the dining room, you can already hear boots falling behind you. Any sort of glance, Victor would probably already see Rick incoming at that point.
We would probably hear the helicopter first.
He came in on a motorcycle.
Oh, that's right, motorcycle.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm gonna send the driver to get the helicopter back to get the other helicopter back to the penthouse, and so that it's available and ready. But I'm gonna take a bike ride. I need a release, and once I get kind of out into the country, we're gonna get some excessive speeds going a little bit. We're gonna open it up on some of those pretty long stretches of country road. And head out to the
Delacroix residence is not out. It's in London.
I don't have the map pulled up. I forget that tab every time.
Somewhere north London.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably still doing faster than you should on some of the streets, but nothing like excessive. Nothing like that somebody who hasn't been on a motorcycle a few times couldn't do. Not trying to do like tricks or use sidewalks or streets like Cecil did, but definitely doing some hard weaves and kind of in and out of traffic and just a little bit of a stress release. And yeah, he'll probably get there. I'd say like. He's probably as Nora's whining about her cell phone, you probably hear the bzz, bzz at the gate.
Yeah, as stated, Victor, you are quite capable of seeing Rick entering your place and being led into the dining room with everybody else. His phone being taken as soon as possible.
Yoink.
Oh yeah, I'd walk in and just I'd see the tray and just walk in and set it down.
Add it to the pile. Oh, do we have everyone in attendance now, or
-1?
-1 who is in the hospital.
Yeah. Yes. That can't be helped. Or his good. But nonetheless, I'm so very pleased to have all of you over to catch up and touch base on everything. I hope it's not too much. Victor kind of gets everyone seated and motions for the food to be brought out.
Of course, the first course is brought out first.
Yes, so something to whet the appetite. As everyone settles in, I guess, Victor will once again relay the star of the show. For tonight's meal, which again he introduces to Rick as this treat salmonet au bleu with vegetables and broth. served with a hollandaise sauce on the side. It's a lovely little French dish. The fish is actually it's poached, but before it's poached, it's kind of stunned and soaked in vinegar. It actually turns the fish blue. A lovely little trick of the eyes. But I hope you will enjoy it. It's poached in a court bouillon served with boiled potatoes, parsley, lemon wedges, and of course melted butter. But enough about the meal. We'll get to that when we get to it. The subject of our little soiree tonight, this lovely dinner party I've had arranged, I've been a bit, shall we say, irritated at the invasion of privacy we've had the misfortune of falling under. And I've taken some steps to address that issue. To the best of my knowledge, we should be able to speak freely here, without any undue attention of sorts. And he motions towards the oddly centered bits of paraphernalia, somewhat conspicuously aligned around the room for whatever mystic effect it may or may not have.
A fetish here, a trinket there, a weird symbol painted on the wall of somewhere else.
Yes, but they've been like kind of carefully aligned to like look like there's some sort of decoration in the room. Like one's on like a nice little pedestal, and they're kind of arranged about it as best they can to not look horrifically out of place. But there's still probably a bit out there.
Oh, so they're not just tacky art.
Yes. There is a purpose to the interior design of this room. Yes, I've been very busy redecorating.
I feel like
Is
before this conversation really takes off, we're gonna take our break.
Right.
perfect. See you soon, everybody.
Yep. And with that, we are back with our crew of wonderful, lovely individuals enjoying a fine dining experience in the Delacroix Manor with the unfortunate absence of Cecil.
What'd you call this again? Tiliado? I haven't had anything like it.
Vanessa, you can just say salmon. It's fine.
Talking about the wine.
He's referring to the wine.
Oh.
A specific cask, you might say.
He
What's the motto? For the love of God? What's the story behind that?
Montresor. Enough literary allegories. We do have some business, I suppose, to discuss. But I do have a lovely picture of the dish I can actually share with you guys, courtesy of a certain TV series. That might flavor your interpretation of this a bit.
Oh my! What the hell is that?
There's a when Rick first bites into it, he'll be like, "This is the best of this dish I've ever had." He'll say, "I haven't. It hasn't been done this well. It wasn't done this well at." And then he'll drop. I'm not gonna actually drop a Twitch, but he'll drop the name of like a prominent Democratic senator from like the Upper East Coast. Be like, since the fundraiser we had for the senator, this is good, Victor. This is very good.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I only wish I would have had the time to prepare it myself, but such is the nature of our situation.
I need to have my chef and your chef need to talk, because I need this more. I need this in my life more than I have it.
You a big fan of French cuisine, are you, Rick?
I like all good food. I don't really care where it comes from.
I mean, I kind of care what it looks like. Does it have to be blue?
That is the trick of the dish, yes.
You liked the frozen pancakes this morning, didn't you, Nathan?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's classic right there.
Yeah.
Frozen pancake stings a little bit, does it not, Victor?
Yes. Yes. The culinary grating of nails on chalkboard.
Regardless, the night wears on.
So what do you got for us, Victor? How's the binding coming? For do we have it? What's his name? Quinn, right?
Mr. Quinn.
Yeah.
Yes. About that, there's been a change of plans as he places another morsel of the dish, the fish, into his mouth, and takes a long moment of awkward silence to chew on that.
I remember you being fairly upset with me for going off script without talking to people about a thing we'd already written off as unneeded. Victor?
Yes, situation has unfortunately forced my hand. Now, I'm all one for honesty and transparency, and that's what I've arranged. Now that I'm comfortable enough to have this sort of conversation, knowing that at least we've done everything to deter our interested psychic agents. But yes, change of plans with Mr. Quinn. Something, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I think I might have a tool, shall we say, against our investigation. I had the pleasure to have another tea time chat with this individual. Our conversation was fruitful. Suffice to say, he wishes to remain undisturbed. And he is willing to trade his situation for a new perspective on life.
What's he paying us to ignore him, Victor?
Here's what I'm proposing. This Lieutenant Oliver, was it?
Oliver, yeah.
Yes, he's been...
He's the one handling the people handling us.
Yes, well, I would like to handle him. Or more accurately, I would like Quinn to handle him. Or should I say, our vested party inside of Quinn.
I like you, Victor.
You understand now why I couldn't share this with you at our previous engagement. I've been pondering this predicament of ours, trying to come up with some solution to extricate us from this problem, and we've unfortunately been rather thoroughly entangled in this affair. Not exactly the thing we can shoot and or buy our way out of. But if the investigation were to be dropped, if a certain lieutenant were to turn his attention elsewhere,
maybe on some more prominent and in-the-way members of the Abbey?
I like what you're thinking.
Because if you can know what he knows, then that's a shortcut to what we're looking for.
Indeed. Let's just say I'm considering placing a man, or should I say something in a man on the inside.
Yeah, we got that one clear, I think. It's just where to point them. If they just drop us, that's suspicious. But if they decide somebody else is just more worthy of their attention and it's a shift, that's different. So who does it benefit us most to shift them to?
Our competition, naturally.
Them or the ones we're turning things into? We already know London may be rogue. We know your dad's worried. Yeah?
At this moment, these words are new to Nathan, because this was not discussed with Nathan.
How many new things Nathan is learning?
Yeah. We'll cast Speedy Exposition, and Rick will bring Nathan up to date quickly on the cyber bits that he's found poking around through lateral moves. TLDR, the London Abbey cell may be rogue, and this whole thing, it's being done very differently than it ever has been before, and we don't know why.
Wait, rogue? Rogue from what exactly?
The
Abbey was its own thing.
Bigger than London.
This location, I believe, has ceased communication with Abbey HQ.
Years ago, they got a. I found fragments of files I was able to reconstruct. They got emails from the headquarter house years ago that they've yet to reply to to this day. I've given that to Victor. Victor's pulling his strings on the inside, and I'm still digging deeper to find things to give to Victor to enable. But yeah, we're doing work on behalf of the London sale of the Abbey, but the Abbey as a whole may not know or be aware.
We've been potentially doing all this work for nothing. Status for a branch that doesn't matter anymore.
I didn't say they didn't matter. I said they're rogue. And if they've been rogue for 5 years now, and somebody hasn't put them down for it, there's a reason for that. We need to know the reason. We need to know why it's been allowed to go on.
And I think this plan of mine advances a step in that direction. These agents have taken some sort of interest in our organization, and regardless of what we choose to do with our man on the inside, knowing what they know is going to be a useful tool.
What do we need to do to make it happen?
We need to arrange a little meet and greet. We need Quinn to have a conversation with the lieutenant.
Does he still need to be wearing the suit he's wearing when he gets there, or can he be free range?
I couldn't quite say.
What happens to the old Quinn?
He'll be, shall we say, returned to his corporeal form, no longer a captive party. His agency will be returned to him.
Much of a problem do we see that being for us?
Regretfully. It could be somewhat difficult. He does have connections, as do we all. I can't imagine he has entirely too much recollection, and what he may have is most likely confined to myself. So consider it a bit magnanimous of me to take the burden of these consequences to fall upon my shoulders.
I'm more worried about the fact that do we know what he'll know when he wakes up?
Not necessarily. It's probably not a necessarily coherent timeline of events, fragments, bits and pieces, but that may or may not be enough to draw some sort of ire upon myself. Admittedly, we could deal with the situation in another manner, but I don't necessarily want to resort to removing Mr. Quinn from the equation. That may be a bit drastic, even for my tastes.
Depends on how big of a problem he is.
I've done worse for less.
Yep. And that'll be for Vanessa and Nora, and probably Victor too. The first time that they've ever heard Rick talk as if a person was disposable. It's simply never happened before. But in the context of this person with possible violent criminal connections, potentially remembering and maybe even having a vendetta with the members of his cell. Like, you see, like, the posture kind of changes. He sits up a little bit more, his arms cross, and you've never heard him speak of a person as being disposable before, but he does here. Nathan would have once or twice in the past, probably, but
Probably helped.
probably.
I imagine Victor is usually very, very polite when referring to most people, but there is probably a distinct tinge of vitriol as the name, Quinn, as it rolls off the tongue. There's definitely some level of displeasure in his voice, just considering the possibility of him being a free agent again.
What do you know about this guy, Victor? How do you know him? You said his only connection left may be you? What do you...
I knew Mr. Quinn prior to his, shall we say, change in perspective. I did not care for Mr. Quinn. Family connections, I assure you. Those sorts of obligations forced us together on several unfortunate occasions. But at some point, I had come to notice a marked change in Mr. Quinn. And we had engaged on conversation on more than one occasion. And shall we say, I am familiar with both Mr. Quinn and our associate within Mr. Quinn. We've had several lovely tea time chats.
Okay.
Again, my apologies. My apologies to spring this on you now, but again, circumstances.
So let's put Oliver and Quinn in a room together then.
The main course finishes. Dessert has been served. There remains one last item upon the table. The lovely subject of the Bear Man, Jacob Smith, and his fiancée, Catherine McLean.
Yes, that timeline is fast approaching.
Rick will probably change the subject into that, and just kind of say, once we've kind of settled on getting. So while everybody kind of mulls over how to put Oliver and Quinn in a room together, which I honestly can't imagine will be too terribly difficult. They don't like Vanessa, and we've got things they want to hear. I got 3 days to deliver that dossier on the bear. What's your plans with him, Victor? Why am I sitting on something I could have been done with already?
Yes. Well, things are complicated, shall we say. I was hoping to get more usage out of Jacob, though he's done admirably thus far in advancing our position within the competition, you might say.
You put down an entire cell of Abbey members. I think that the next stage is going to either be they leave him alone completely because they're scared of him, and that's just probably not the one that's going to happen. It's more likely that they're going to hit him with an amount of overwhelming force that he will be incapable of resisting.
And I'm inclined to agree. I think our fellow members of the Abbey would probably see this as an invitation, a challenge of sorts, to succeed where another has failed.
So we get to jump on him?
If he's dead, then I'm paying with counterfeit money, essentially.
Indeed. I have considered one possibility. I know our associates, our agents, shall we say, have mentioned an interest in those murders, in the affair of Jacob and that cell. That is information we could use to, shall we say, lure in our lieutenant. And given our situation, I don't necessarily know how else we might go about arranging a little heart-to-heart with the lieutenant. I know you've given him your number, but it's not exactly like we have him on speed dial, or rather anything that they want. It seems like they're more babysitting us, for lack of a better word.
Rick's gonna check his watch and say, honestly, they'll probably be here in the next hour or two, because we just vanished off their fucking radar if you did everything right. And the last they saw any of us, we were in your dining room, or we were in the foyer, and then we vanished. If they're not on their way, it'll surprise me a great deal. They didn't care for us making the slip last time. So, how far away is Quinn?
You want to do this now?
If we leave here without bumping into them, it'll be a miracle. If Oliver isn't with them after we all blipped off the face of the planet to them, well, I'll give you a car.
Regardless, I mean, I'm normally one for meticulous planning. This is a bit jumping the gun. Certainly, I could make the call, but given that the rest of you are here, what say the rest of you? I don't want to entangle you in this without your consent.
Yeah, so, Vanessa's been really getting into wine, and she hasn't been, super been paying attention to, the serious discussion, and now that, you've turned the conversation back to her, she's just like, what? What are we talking about? Who are we killing now?
The people that you want to kill, Vanessa. Would you give it a little wine?
Does the butler have constructions like Vanessa's fourth glass of wine also has a sleep aid crushed up into it?
I think we may.
We're still a non-alcoholic version of the wine or whatever.
we may have some need of you, if we are to go forward with this.
It'll depend on who's there and what he has to do and how messy it may be. If it's gonna be,
if it's those cops, damn who they are.
If 5 of them are here, it could be a problem. If 2 of them are here, maybe not. I don't know. It depends. It depends on how quick he can make this and how clean it will be.
Who's he?
Quinn, I think.
Mr. Quinn.
I'm hearing all this for the first time, so this is a lot to take in and make a decision all at once.
I mean, we don't need him for a ghost anymore, for an incorporeal anymore. We've got a house to burn down now for that. So, you know, this feels like a better use of Quinn.
On that particular statement, all Nora can think about right now is the kids are probably mid-ritual or something at this point.
Yeah, I didn't eat any of that weird, gross fish food, so I ate double dessert. I feel like I took Vanessa's dessert when she wasn't looking. All right, I was like, "Are you gonna finish that?" Like, and I'm eating
the
this
rest
dessert.
of my wine for.
Yeah.
Goes up on bread.
And I'm probably just biting my nails at this time, just thinking like I need to get my phone or look at something that's not this.
It's been too long without Twitter and memes.
Yeah, like
When
I
was,
haven't
when was the last
posted-
joke you tweeted a message to Vanessa? God. Maybe over an hour ago or something?
I
Oh.
don't.
Oh, if
I
this
don't
is
know how.
if this is a
you're alive.
classic European fine dining meal, to get to dessert, you're probably sitting at maybe the 3.5 hour mark.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I dissociated hard.
Vanessa learned early in her life to get through these things. You just need a lot of wine and port.
Just make it happen, Victor. If you think tonight's a bad night, then maybe we can use tonight to set the stage. Then you can talk to Quinn again and get some more details about this and how to make it happen.
Well,
Getting the puppies out isn't a problem. Getting to Oliver is going to probably be a bit more unique.
let's make that call to Quinn. This all hinges on his potential involvement, so let's clear that hurdle, shall we? If you'll excuse me, and Victor kind of gets up out of his seat.
Remember, your blip shows back up on the radar.
A risk we'll have to take. Perhaps it'll be sufficient to bother interest. And with that, Victor will make his egress from the dining hall. I'm gonna go to recover his phone.
Does anybody else follow him to get the phone?
Oh, 100%.
Nora's like,
Dash.
he's leaving, I can leave.
I'm actually gonna stay a bit behind, and I want to grill Rick here. So they follow us through our phones, right? Can't you just? You're good with computers. Can't you just hack the phone to make it so we're somewhere else?
Like a VPN?
I don't know how this stuff works. I've never been good with it.
Everything
on my phone is encrypted. Calls, texts, all of it.
but I don't know how much that matters for them because of the psychic thing. So the phones are in case they're using those. It's unlikely they're using mine, but possible. Probably the same can be said for Nathan's phone. But the two of you, and he points to Nora and Vanessa,
I'm not in the room.
Yeah, Nora's gone.
Yeah, she left as soon as she could get her phone.
I don't think there's a link that's ever been texted to y'all haven't opened. So your phones are giant, bright lighthouses just burning in the night for them to stare at.
You're lucky I'm not in the room.
You can't go through dinner without checking the tweets or the whatever.
Okay, old man, don't be so condescending.
With that,
you just want to see what's on the other side of the text. So, yeah, I think they're probably using phones, and then maybe you're using other things, which is why the phone's out there and we're inside of whatever this is he constructed, as he kind of looks at some of the various fetishes and symbols.
Nora, since you kind of booked it towards your phone, you'd probably reach it before Victor, who's not running in a house.
Running in the hallway.
With that being stated, you are obviously the first to retrieve your phone, immediately looking at the camera feeds. And as serendipity would have it, you see 4 bodies laying in the main room of the house. One body levitating up. And while all the ones that you had seen before were single frames, this one, you see what looks to be an individual. Same red eyes, bald head, but it seems to have some sort of wrapping around its body. Its fingers seem somewhat elongated and crooked. As it reaches one of these fingers into the kid's mouth, as the kid's kind of floating in the air, and you see what looks like another cloud of mist leave the kid's body, kind of like a fish on a hook.
Cool.
The body drops to the ground, and then as he lets go, essentially, removes the hook, as it were, that misty shape, the main misty shape vanishes, and for a split second, you see what looks like the kid, but then the face changes a little bit, not too much, just enough to be noticeable. The hair disappears, and the eyes turn red as it evaporates shortly after.
Sick.
About the time Nora says sick is when Victor arrives at the phones.
And Victor will indeed give our friend a call and see what he's doing tonight.
Victor, I wasn't expecting to hear from you so soon.
Things have perhaps moved a bit ahead of schedule. Say, would you be interested in dinner? I'm afraid I may have made a bit more than anticipated. And I really could use the company. How available are you?
I'm tying up some loose ends, saying goodbye to some people. Once this body is returned, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to see the same people I did. Things are going to change on a grand scale, and I wish to have things put neatly into their place. I'm sure you can understand.
So you're telling me you won't be able to make it for dinner?
Not at this time. Besides, my friend. And you can definitely hear what sounds like the phone being rustled. I know you, and I know your family quite well. I know it is dessert at the very earliest over there. Dinner is well over.
I've saved you a piece. But all is well. Don't worry too much about it. We'll find another time to to indulge, but for now, just stay in touch. Continue what you're doing. I'll check in and let you know when another opportunity arises.
I will let you know as soon as I am available.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
You too, Victor.
Victor sets the phone back down on the pillow and returns to...
I'll comment. You're really charming when you want to be, aren't you?
I would like to think that I'm charming all the time, but I'd like to be charming all the time. Shall we return to the dining hall?
Can I bring my phone? I have something to show you guys.
I think the conversation is wound to a natural conclusion. Yes, I think that's fine.
Okay. Wouldn't want to disrespect the house rules.
I appreciate your concern.
He holds her hands up like that, and one finger has like a bit of Cheeto dust on it.
Where would I have gotten that? I watched it. I am not a dirty person. Only in other people's cars.
Yeah.
Only in Nathan's car.
Yeah.
So when
maybe
it came in,
maybe Rick's as well, but like.
Nathan's
Yeah.
gonna buy some seat covers now.
Victor will return to the dining hall and inform that we will not be having an additional guest for dinner. And unfortunately, they've had their hands tied at the moment. But if any other unexpected company were to turn up, I've always got more food on hand.
bet you do. I will run with my phone over to Nathan and Vanessa. And I'll rewind the video. And I'll be like, guys, like, look at this. This is what almost happened to us.
At that, Rick's gonna just get up and walk over there and look over the shoulder. Just be like, holy shit.
So
Straight out of Exorcist.
wait, so was I right? It's wearing their faces, right?
Mm-hmm. Seems
Yes.
like it. I high-five Nathan.
Yay, children dying! Woo!
What are we, the Power Rangers?
I'm just surprised I guessed that right.
We've got to look into this a lot deeper before we go back.
Okay, but what's next? What happens to the bodies? Because there's never any bodies, right?
Well, we're gonna find out.
Didn't we watch the body evaporate on the camera?
No, we watched the soul get hooked out of the body like a fish.
Right. But then I thought the
Bodies
body
are on the floor.
evaporated.
No, there's 4 bodies on the floor, and we
Oh,
watched
okay.
the 5th body
The ghost
Get-
thing evaporated.
Gotcha.
sucked
Okay.
off.
So where are the bodies going?
We'll find out in like 8 hours, probably. You are all welcome for my genius of setting up all these cameras.
Thank you, Nora.
Very good.
And I feel like I hand Vanessa like a 20 because we had bet whether the kids would go to the house or not.
Yoink.
So, with that all being said, what exactly is going to be done with the werebear? Because we're going to have a little bit of a time skip here. A week, to be exact.
Vanessa has no stake in the weapon. Whatever the others want to do with it, it's fine.
Nora has been glued to any sort of monitoring device that she's had. The one thing that has happened is at a certain point, the bodies seem to merge with the house, and that hole that was created no longer exists.
The explosion hole no longer exists.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sick.
So with those two covered, Nathan, probably spending more time with your daughter during that week?
Yeah, getting prepared for physical therapy. Get the range of motion close to what it once was. But this is like preliminary stuff because it's only been a couple weeks since the surgery.
Thistle, when you're finally released from the hospital.
And they want to keep holding on to him because he's not like fully recovered, but he's too impatient. He's got like cabin fever going on. He's got to get out. So he leaves the hospital after like 3 days, even though he probably shouldn't.
Nathan's probably been in and out of your room too. They're probably in the same hospital as his daughter.
Oh.
Rick would have been coming in every couple of days just to check on both of them, actually.
So yeah, Thistle would get out, sign himself out after like 3 days, and he's not really like limping, but he's walking carefully. But he would want to go for a walk. So this would want to do some walking.
He just wants to move.
Yeah, he just needs to get up and get out and so eat some not hospital food. Go hit up some. They don't even have to be fancy. Just like tasty, quick food places while he's out on his walks or whatever. He's doing his urban exploring, but without the speed usually attached to that.
And without the abandonedness of buildings.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, that leaves Victor and Rick.
I'll let Rick go first.
Sure.
The dossier got dropped off.
Yeah. Rick would towards the end of the timeline, drop the dossier to make sure that he would. There's this like this scene that the audience sees, kind of hands around a fairly familiar, kind of dingy, dark, kind of biker bar, with Rick sitting in a booth, dressed very blue collar, with like a pint of ale in front. There's like some 90s country playing on a jukebox, pool games going on, and he sits there. You can presume he's been there for a little bit because there's a couple of empty glasses, and he finishes the third one and gets up and walks into a back room. A little bit of time goes by, and he walks out and gets in the pickup that has been seen before, and drives it to a storage location where he parks it inside of like a storage unit, and then gets on his motorcycle and heads out, having dropped off the dossier. The rest of the time he'll spend working with Victor to figure out the best way to put those two puzzle pieces together, and checking in on Cecil and Nathan and his daughter, and handling whatever paperwork needs to be handled for the firearms and Chopper and everything, as much as can be in that time.
By the end of the week, you would have probably gotten the Chopper back. Towards the very, very end of the week. Victor.
The morning after our little dinner party, Victor is going to pay a visit and check in with Mr. Werebear, our good friend Jacob, and his soon-to-be wife, Catherine. One last time, and see how they're doing. Show up a bit unexpectedly, perhaps. Try and time it sometime that they'd be home. We have some idea of their
Schedule.
movements and schedule and whatnot. Try and show up sometime that they are together at home to have one last little conversation before that dossier gets dropped.
You are met with more hospitality than last time. Catherine invites you in. Tea is prepared. Jacob is, for lack of a better word, a little worse for wear. His arm is in a sling. But outside of what appears to be either a dislocated shoulder or maybe a broken arm at the very most, he is quite well off.
It's so good to see the two of you again. And unfortunately, I regret to be the bearer of bad news. And Victor's kind of brought like a briefcase with him, you know, all business, and kind of sets it on the table somewhere. I know that you haven't reached out to me. I wish that you would have. I would have. I would have appreciated a call, you know. But I understand. You two are very busy.
Things
people.
have been a bit hectic. And Jacob looks down at his arm and gives you a very pointed glance.
Yes. Things certainly have. And although you've chosen not to reach out to me, you've nonetheless helped me in a certain way. And I wish to return that favor.
The last time you helped us, and he kind of glances around as Catherine leaves the room for a moment. I was attacked by 6, I don't know, I think it was 6 guys. Sometimes numbers get a little fuzzy.
I'm sure they do in the heat of things. I did give you a warning, did I not? I did preempt that little affair of yours. I told you it was coming.
Yes, which
I
worries
didn't-
me.
I did my best to protect you. And you are right to be worried. I'm afraid by not accepting my help at that time, things have become complicated, Jacob. That little misfortune of yours is just the beginning. It is an open invitation. It's bear season, you might say. But I am a generous man, and I'm willing to give you a second chance. I'm not asking anything of you, actually. This is a bit out of character for me, I suppose you could say. But I see that you and your fiancé have something special. Something I rarely see, something I appreciate. Something I'd like to protect. And Is Miss Catherine still out of the picture? Is this still a private conversation?
Do you need it to be? Does Victor want it to be?
I don't need it, but I'm going to leave the option to Jacob, considering the nature of the conversation we're having. That this is his household and his fiancée, that if he wants to discuss this with Catherine in attendance, by all means, but Victor is not going to be presumptuous of the situation.
He nods for you to continue as Catherine comes in.
You're in a lot of danger. An astounding amount. Words cannot express how thoroughly, pardon my French, fucked you are. But against my better judgment, I want to help you. And I'm willing to offer that hand. Again, as hasty as it might be, I've made certain arrangements as best I can. There's not much time left for you, I'm afraid. But you and your wife, your soon-to-be wife, will soon experience a veritable hell that I do not wish upon you. There are very interested, very connected parties that are now very, very invested in you. Not just out of curiosity. You have Central Intelligence agents that are coming after you. I cannot stress the situation enough to you. You are utterly and thoroughly in trouble.
Get to the point. What are you offering? You know I'm a man that does not like delays.
Yeah, straight to business. It is best that we work as quickly as possible. And Victor swivels around that briefcase to face them. I know that you have a wedding coming up. You have family, you have friends, people invested in this. I'm invested in the two of you. I want to see the two of you succeed. I really do. This might be hard for you, but it's the least I can do. The only thing really left I can do for you. After this offer, take it or leave it, things will become very, very difficult, and there is not much I can do for you. I'll try, of course, but this may be your last chance. And Victor opens the briefcase, and Victor has tapped out his bank account, shall we say. Lovely stacks upon stacks of bills in the briefcase, and probably some plane tickets. A lovely get out of Dodge kit that he's hastily thrown together. And he just kind of waits to see their reaction of a briefcase full of fuck you money, shall we say.
Alright, I do have a quick question. Are you actually spending resource dots on this, and how many are you spending?
Victor will tap out everything.
So this is 5 dots of resources.
as much as it's willing to take. Enough to completely start a new life in some East Asian island, nation, where no one's going to find them.
Shoot, with Victor's
This
resources,
is
you
just
get
your
up one
liquid
dot.
assets, or you liquidated everything to get this?
Whatever resources 5, I guess, would
Like
entail.
6 dots, like what? I think that'd be 6 dots of cash?
Whatever 5 resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, lot of money.
A crap load of money, yes, that I'm throwing at this scenario.
Catherine looks pale, like she's about ready to pass out right then and there.
What is their living situation, by the way? Like, how are they, economically speaking?
They live in Wadford, so that is more of like an industrial zone.
Lower middle class?
Lower middle class. I mean, they have a townhouse, they're not living in squalor, but it's not anything that you're used to. Jacob is much more stoic as he stares at this. He does lean forward in his chair with his good arm. He picks up the plane tickets. Where are the plane tickets going?
As a person, I'm probably, as a player, I'm probably not the most acquainted with where someone might disappear to, but I imagine Victor is probably a little more acquainted with places where rich people might escape scrutiny, so to speak. If someone were to break some sort of international law and live a life somewhere, whether it's like some South American country perhaps, or East Asia, somewhere off the grid, off the beaten path. Yes,
Mexico.
He takes just 2 relatively small stacks from the briefcase, sets them down on top of the tickets, and closes the briefcase, locks it with his one hand, and pushes it back to you. This is more than enough. I don't need the kind of trouble that kind of money brings. However, I accept your offer. I will take these tickets, and he looks at the tickets. I'll be gone.
thank you. I hope the 2 of you can be happy.
We always are.
Well, I don't want to keep you much longer. I'm sure you have a lot on your plate, all things considered. I'll leave you to it. This will likely be the last time that we speak. I do wish the 2 of you the best. And do take care. And Victor will kind of leave the kitchen at whatever, leave them to discuss their business as they handle their 2 thick stacks of bills and their plane tickets. I've imagined Victor's arranged for some sort of private charter plane for them.
Off
and,
the books, even.
Yeah. You rented out his private, whatever guy he uses for private flights, booked him on short notice. And as they're like in the kitchen debating, and then Victor kind of takes his leave, he'll kind of, pull his jacket or whatever off the coat rack, and kind of put himself together, put his little maybe it's raining out, he's got a hat on or something, or umbrella perhaps, and he sets down the briefcase as he's getting everything all together, and as they're discussing in the other room, and he opens the door and leaves, and he conveniently forgets the briefcase by the front door as he leaves.
How quickly does he leave?
I imagine he probably makes his exit pretty swift out of there. Like, he had the stoic condition regarding this werebear, and he was probably struggling to hold things together on some level. Given that this could have very easily turned in another direction with Mr. Werebear, all things considered. But yeah, he's gonna make a very quick egress out of the building. He knows what he's doing with his little trick here.
As your driver begins to take off, you do see Jacob running out with your briefcase in his good hand.
Yes, as he hobbles out, and as the driver kind of pulls away, Victor just gives a little smile and wave as he leaves him with that in tow.
Please mark that on your character sheet.
I certainly will.
So, follow up on that, because if I remember correctly, the investigation Rick did and the hooks he put in this guy's digital life were deep enough that I think I got an exceptional success on it. That's where most of this dossier came from, is deep penetration access to laptops, phones, etc., successful spear phishing attempts, things like that. They get this money and they get these tickets. Is there a sudden shift in search history topics? Are they suddenly looking at Googling up places in Laos and things like that? Or basically, would Rick have any idea that the timeline just got shortened pretty drastically with him monitoring them, specifically because he was already kind of paranoid about what Victor was trying to do, with Victor being so cagey, even in the confines of the privacy of that room. And Rick's pretty serious about the business thing. So if he got the inkling that...
To answer your question.
Yeah.
It's exactly the opposite. All communication, etc., goes dead.
Yeah.
They're not using if they are using the internet, they're not using the same laptop. They're not using the same phones.
The literal moment that things shift like that, Rick is dropping the dossier within a very short time period, like he's basically going straight there, on the bike, no truck, and he'll let his contact know. He'll say, "I think they've gone dark. Not sure why. Well, I'm pretty sure I know why. Time might be up on these guys. Here's the information anyway. If you can't get to them in time for this to be useful, then I owe you one."
And with that, we're going to reconvene. Everybody has had their week of fun, but things eventually come back down. Nora, your monitoring of the situation. Another group of kids. This one of...
Another group of kids?
Yes. It seems like all...
Death wish, don't they?
It seems like this area is building up a bit of a... For lack of any better word, a body count. Not
Some notoriety.
to an extent, yes. However...
What would it take to just outright buy this house?
I was gonna ask that.
We all were. I was.
Certainly more money than Victor might have at this moment.
Poor Victor. Ha.
Literally.
Punny.
He's old money. It's a drop in the bucket. He'll make it back in a week.
Yeah, give me a month. I'll be fine.
You get 4 stars now instead of 5 stars.
So you got some catching up to do. You got some videos to watch, buddy.
Hey, during this week, could we do an identification or something on this
I
ghost house?
was 100% hoping somebody would say that beforehand.
I was waiting for Cecil to
Because-
come back into the picture so that he could be a participant. That's kind of where I
Well,
was going
if
with
he's
that.
if he's been in hospital 3 days and he's spending the next 4 of these days doing stuff, doing natural
Yeah.
healing, he can join
He
us
can
in
help.
the identification test.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, who wants to lead this identification?
Probably not me. I'm not that good at it.
What is it again? Intelligence and occult for ID?
Identification.
primary.
Needed,
Yep.
and intelligence plus occult. Yeah.
Must have a cult 2 on the primary intelligence foot. Yeah.
I will help with wits and occult.
Wits and occult, so that's research.
Sorry.
So, who else is helping? Obviously, tailing a target in this case is not a option.
New.
So this will all be on the investigation and collecting evidence and research end of things.
Could Nora substitute the wit stealth for tailing a target with a role to represent the information she's gathering from the video feeds as a substitute for that?
That's research. That
Or even collecting evidence.
yeah, it wouldn't be tailing a target. It would be collecting evidence or research.
Yeah, which is the same role, but I guess what I was getting at was wits plus stealth doesn't make a lot of sense for that role.
Wits plus
with the context
investigation.
in mind. Okay.
Or collecting evidence.
Stealth is for tailing, which doesn't really help to tail a house.
It's not going anywhere.
Oh, I saw collecting evidence on the wits and stealth, but I see that's affecting. I see. Okay, I misread the parens, what was in the parens there.
Yeah. So Nora, you're gonna do the wits plus investigation.
Sure.
Give me that roll at a +3 because of your cameras.
Nice.
Nice.
And Cecil can do the wits plus occult or wits plus investigation with the same dice pool.
Nathan's in the
So-
same boat.
So we can just slot Cecil in wherever there's space.
If there's not a limit to who can help, then Rick can also do a wits plus occult now because I took a dot in it.
It's 3-3. So even with so right now it's divided up 2 and 2 essentially. So you can hop in on it either.
Awesome.
Cecil was not any help.
I noticed.
Nathan?
I could do either investigation or occult. They're the same roll.
Just give me a roll then.
I'll do investigation. Can willpower be burned on this roll?
You can spend willpower on it, yes.
I can't. Then I will.
So that's a +3
Yeah.
modifier, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can risk helping
No.
Right.
because Trevor has to risk on that.
I
But
figured.
we can spend, right?
You can spend it regularly.
Oh, well.
Only one for me.
So that's 11 extra dice.
Damn, dude.
6 successes. Holy crap.
And this is our 8 again, right? For
That's one of our favored.
Yeah, it's a favorite tactic.
I forgot to click 8 again.
Oh, I didn't.
The 8 again is only for the primary.
only the primary.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I didn't do it
We
either. But
figured out that the other session.
Okay.
We were reading that wrong. But anyway, intelligence and occult with 8 again.
and 11 bonus dice.
And 11 bonus dice. Okay, let's see if this rolls right.
Yeah, after we failed that one, I was like, I'm taking a dot and a cult so that we can get more bonus dice.
Nice again.
5, exceptional success.
And I believe that's versus manipulation and subterfuge, right?
For what?
Plus presence, I
Resistant.
think.
Yeah.
However, it does not have skills.
Oh. I think you
Chance die?
No, it's not a chance die.
I think if it doesn't have skills, it uses finesse instead. I think that's how it goes.
Or
It's been a
rank?
while since I've looked in Cold Lake.
It automatically gets rank.
Oh yeah, it's rank. That's it.
Well, okay, then it's just getting resistance plus rank.
Oh.
Still not a bad dice pool.
What is it, like 18?
Yeah, last time I saw, yeah.
Yep.
Alright. And that's a dramatic failure on the tactic.
Is it?
Yep.
Risk willpower.
Dramatic.
That's a hello 10, exceptional to dramatic failure.
Well.
Well, hold on. Did Victor, did you didn't add in your, do you get bonus dice for risking willpower?
No.
No.
Oh,
it's-
It's just you
the
get to
cost.
do the tactic for risking
Yeah.
willpower. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which sets up like a
I will, in this case, I'm still going to give you access to one bit of information. Because having it catch one of you off guard does not make a whole lot of sense here.
Yeah.
Because it's a house.
It is not a house.
Oh, okay.
You're not investigating the house. So, what bit of information do you want to learn? Realizing that there is going to be a cost later on.
One anchor, one aspiration. We already know the location or layer of the layer or home. Identity of a character important to them. It's probably anchor, right? Unless I'm misinterpreting what anchor is because it's an actual game mechanical term that I don't know.
It's like
Anchor would be very important. Anchor is whatever is holding them to this world.
That's what I thought it would be, but then I was like, this game may have a different definition of that word.
Anchor is also generally the term used for virtue, vice, and touchstones.
Super important to the thing.
However, because this is a spirit, I will let you use the common definition of anchor.
That
Yeah, I think that's probably because we were discussing like what if it's the mirror that's the key, or like the house itself. I think that's probably the best use of our investigation is figuring out where this thing is coming from or what specifically it's haunting or it's holding on to.
That would be Rick's boat for sure.
The answer to that question is the game itself. It is tied for everything that you can find. It seems like it's tied to the actual parlor game in of itself. Not a physical item, but the abstractness of the game.
Cool.
Okay, so we know more about it than we do. We have some other things. We know where it came from. We know it's tied to the game. We know that it's in this house. And I suddenly feel like maybe it's not trapped in the house. It's just there because the house has the notoriety. Maybe it was called there through the playing of the game. And as the house builds notoriety, it's just, eating at the buffet.
We've done a bit of research. Do we know if any of the previous participants actually managed to finish the game?
You don't necessarily have that bit of information. You do still have the one lead, which is the
boy,
The kid in the asylum.
Yeah, we need to visit him.
I think Victor can probably arrange something there. Pull on some police contacts and see if we can pay this fellow a visit.
Give me manipulation plus persuade with your contact.
All right. Would this be more contacts or would it be allies?
You have allies, right? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they are releasing the information of a minor, so...
Yeah. Let's see if I can arrange something. Manipulation 2, 5 plus allies. That's 8. All right. Ooh. Let me see what I can scrounge up here. You know what? And I'll spend a point of willpower on this. It's basically our best lead at this point. I'd rather not. Screw that. So 3 from allies, 3 from willpower, and go. 6 successes.
Great.
Not only do you get the mental ward, hospital, ward, room number, first, last name, they also give you clearance for visiting rights, because right now he's not allowed to have visitors.
Well, they've made an exception.
In this case.
an exception for an exceptional.
Also, this would be the time to take the inspired condition for persuasion.
Sure, cool.
So after Cecil hears about what else is going on with the house, and when he's not involved in the identification tactic, Cecil's going to go camp near the house and prevent more kids from going in.
Aww.
Hey kids, get off my property!
He'll be nice if he can, but if he needs to be, he will be firm.
Are you're just like staying there for like days, just.
And with that, we're going to pull this particular session to a close. So, Vanessa, how are we feeling?
I think Vanessa's getting a little bored. There's been a lot of just talking of people and intrigue and stuff. Like, she's promised like a week ago that she'd get to punch some cops up, but that hasn't happened yet. Like, yeah, she's getting a little angsty and like she's getting a little like she wants some action. But I know what you're gonna ask me next.
Yes.
But I'm actually having a pretty good time. Yeah. I don't mind. I felt like a little bit of a slower bit of session there, but I don't mind that. Last session was a bit hectic with the whole helicopter business, but yeah.
Never mind the fact that one of you almost died. It was the helicopter that was hectic.
Look, some of us just can't help but be the star of the show, and the helicopter is that someone.
Yeah. Like, won't anybody think of the helicopter, damn it? Someone almost died. I can't remember.
Helicopter needs a character sheet.
Everybody asks where helicopter, but not how helicopter.
Nora.
Nora's interested and, been having lots of footage on this house and lots of weird things happening. It's pretty exciting. I feel bad, I think, deep down that the first group of kids died. The other groups of kids is just, I don't know. I don't know them. It's not my responsibility, okay, Cecil? But yeah, I feel like things are moving, and I'm never going to have dinner at Victor's house again.
What about you, Mel's?
I'm having fun. It's it's been like a different session as compared to last time. Lots of wheels beginning to turn, but I think it's necessary for us to catch this house ghost or whatever.
Cecil, I do apologize to Rook that you were kind of out of the session for a bit.
Totally fine. At least I didn't go all like method actor on you and like have a gurney over here laying down on a stretcher. Okay, well, Cecil was feeling pretty bad at the end of the last session, and while he might be feeling physically better, he is not mentally better. It's kind of almost a penance to go like camp on this house and prevent more kids from going missing, and more kids from getting eaten by the damn house, and the house that has both spooked and shaken him and made him obsessed with it. Yeah. Cecil's not in all that good of a place right now, especially since he can tell that most of his teammates are not as bothered as he is with the fates of these kids. Yeah, not having a good time, Cecil.
What about you?
I'm having a great time. I told you at the end of the last session to hurt him more, and well, you did, and in a very different way this time.
I aim to please,
and it's good to have. If everything just went smoothly and we had nothing to worry about, we wouldn't have anything interesting to talk about. So, hurt him more.
I'm bringing your touchstone.
Who's probably like coming to like take care of him, like if he's camping out at the house, like she's bringing food and keeping him company and whatnot. So she's coming
Victor.
Victor's doing pretty darn well. All of his plans are slowly coming to fruition, and I think he's confident that he can deal with this situation. Though he is probably more concerned about the psychic agents than he is about the house. He wasn't there to experience that firsthand. His gears are still turning on something else, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this house leads, and how we go about dealing with our haunted house. But I know, getting to your next question, I am definitely doing well, and excited to see where this turns next.
And welcome back, obviously.
Yes.
Nathan.
So Nathan is he's learning a lot of new things all at once. So he's having to
Process.
quickly form opinions. This Quinn guy is he's a little concerning the way the others talk about him. He might be dangerous, and if he's dangerous to one of the members, judging by recent experience, that danger could quickly lead to close relations. So
Oh no.
he may wind up taking matters without the consent of others. if the trade happens, Quinn may not be around much anymore after that.
You're not the only person thinking that.
Yeah. So and that. Oh yeah, I'm having fun. As was stated, this was a little bit of a slower session compared to the last one. So which was fine. It's a lot more character development heavy and conversation, getting into the minds and thought process. And yeah, it's just, I don't know how to describe it. I liked it. So it's even though it's a different direction, I liked it. It was a good parallel.
Rick?
Rick's doing mostly good. He is not happy with Victor right now because he knows why those people went off grid. Victor's like, give me a few days, I got a thing to do, and then they vanished. And Rick doesn't like business he doesn't like owing people, and he doesn't like bad business in any direction. And this makes him look bad to his contact. And now he owes somebody. He's not happy about that.
What about you, Draz?
I'm great. I'm having a blast. Rick is kind of made for the face stuff and the plans and the scheming. Even though he's a good shot, he's more really built for this. So some of the machinations of the last few sessions that are starting to come together, much like Victor, are fun to see. And so the slower paced sessions where we get to dive in deeper on some of that highlights more of what Rick is about than just shooting things with his pistol.
Of course. And with that, we will see you all next week. Stick around, because we will be raiding Dork Tales.